Hey, everybody, really quickly, I really want to challenge you to deal with the spirit of offense. You know, the enemy uses offense strategically to keep us separated, from God, to keep us separated from our purpose, to distract us, to break up marriages, to interrupt families. I mean, he uses offense after offense after offense because offense, when you don't deal with offense, it gets down into your heart and makes your heart a dark place, right? And then that dark place, it produces fruit. It produces bitterment, resentment, anger. And number one, it produces pride, envy, all of those things. There's no good thing when we don't have a system in place to deal with offense. You know, I had a client was telling me, as we were doing some of the work in our coaching program, she was telling me that she remembered when her mother would give her sister more money than she gave her for allowance, right? She gave her more money than she gave her for allowance. And for years, she would be mad at her sister. She couldn't understand why mom gave her more money than her for allowance. And so she thought mom loved her sister more because she gave her more allowance and because she favored her. She didn't understand from a mom's point of view, because dad is not here and you're stepping up a little bit so that I can go and do what I need to do. I'm going to reward you for it, because she never talked about it. And so that offense began to take root into her heart. It became a deep-seated offense, turned into resentment and bitterness. And before you know it, her sister are at odds, and her sister could never understand why she would not connect with her, why she was always so angry with her, right? And it was funny because it was in our coaching program that she said, Miss Athena, now that you talk about some of these things, I look back and I've been mad at my sister for so long for nothing. Resented her mom and she resented her sister, and she thought her mom thought her sister was above her and better than her, when really her mother just had this sense of gratitude that sister had to hop in and take on more responsibility because she had to be at work. And oldest sister, how much responsibility can be put on the oldest daughter. So anyway, I say all that to say that little offense as a child grew and caused so much bitterness, so much havoc, that she felt unloved, unwanted. She felt less than. She felt like there was nothing she could ever do to gain all the approval that her sister did, all because the enemy was using this offense to cause separation. I want to ask you today, what is that offense that you're holding in your heart? Something that maybe in your childhood happened, and maybe somebody offended you, and now that you're older and you look back and say, that little old thing. Because when I'm a child, I think as a child, what are those bitter root judgments, or some of those judgments that develop from offenses that you never resolved in your heart? But those offenses today are very prevalent and is working in your life. And that's the thing we want to deal with. That's that thing I want to challenge you to today. What is it? Take some time. Think about the people, people in your life that you're most resentful. Write those people down. Don't call them nothing. Just write it down. What are you so resentful for? What offended you? What was the offense? And then find it in your heart to be able to release that offense. And for some people, it doesn't hurt to sit back, because you know what she did? My client went back and apologized to her sister, and she apologized to her mother. And when she comes back to talk to me about it, her sister was like, that's what you've been mad at me about all them years. And they were able to resolve that thing. And today they are so close because they resolved the offense. Today, I really encourage you. And guess what? That's some of the things I had to do with my sisters. I have two sisters, and there's times I had to go back and realize some things, like I can see where when I did this, take full responsibility of the things that I did, and we've resolved it and having these conversations like, I thought you didn't care. I thought this, when really it had nothing to do with nothing, but the enemy will use small offenses. Some of you guys look at something on Facebook and get offended by it. It had nothing to do with you. Your defenses are so high. And can I say this really quickly? Some of you guys' offenses are so high because you've never dealt with the stuff in the past. Have you ever we grew up in an era where we were seen and not heard pretty much. And the seen and not heard era, oh my God, the offenses, the unresolved, Jesus. offenses that, went along with being in that type of environment, right? It will keep you so frustrated. It's crazy, right? And so, no, we want to deal with our offenses. So today, I want to challenge you. Deal with your offenses. Deal with those offenses. Put a system in place. One of the things I tell my clients all the time, number one, if it's a small offense, like say you saw something on Facebook or somebody said something, and I'm gonna say something, it wasn't at you, but it could offend you because you were in a category. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's nothing you need to go and judge up no problems with, depending on what the situation is. You know what? That had nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to even take it personal, right? But what if there's an offense, somebody really offended you? The Bible says, go to that person. If that person is approachable, go to that person. Sit down and talk with him and make amends with that. A lot of times you'll find out the people really didn't mean to hurt you the way you were hurt. Right? And sometimes they did because maybe they thought you said something. And just sitting down and having those conversations, really important, right? If you feel that you cannot go to that person, then maybe go with a mediator. You know what I'm trying to say? Sit down. In ministry, one of the things we did was we tried to talk it out. If we could not talk it out, then we just went to our leaders, and our leaders would try to hash that thing out between us. And a lot of times it just stopped right there. Or we can go to our parent, or you can go to therapy or go somewhere, but go somewhere and talk that thing out. Don't let the enemy have no more foothold in your soulish realm, in your emotional realm. When I see people suffering with mental illness, depression, anxiety, all these things, by all these crazy things happening, it is because of a lot of unresolved offense, a lot of unresolved issues, and really a good conversation can bring resolve to it. Are you a parent? Can I say this? And you are very offensive to your children. And because they're children, I can get away with it. Some of you parents, even though your children can still be young and you know you offended your children, it doesn't hurt to go back and apologize to your children. To say, I'm sorry, I apologize, and I know I offended you. I was so frustrated. But I want you to know that you mean everything to me. Uproot that offense as soon as you can. These kids is losing their freaking mind. And they need parents to stand up and say, listen, I was wrong. I have a granddaughter that God is blessing me to raise. Her name is Gabrielle. And Gabby, there's times where I can fuss at her and I see her just kind of hang her little head. And sometimes Gabby is wrong as two left shoes because she can be a little hanky, as my mother would say. But there's times I have to go back and say, Mom, I didn't mean to fuss at you like that, but I need you to listen to me the first time. Not listening to me can cause you a lot of harm because listening keeps you safe, right? So when you don't listen to me, it frustrates me because then I know that you're not safe, right? And so making sure that she knows that me yelling at her, because y'all, God got to help me with the yelling thing. Sometimes I yell. But when I do, I go back and fix that thing. I do not want my baby full of rejection and unresolved offenses because she didn't know how to speak. So now what she'll say is, she's 6 years old, and she'll say, Grandma, you really hurt my feelings. She'll tell me. She'll come back, and I'll tell her, always talk to Grandma. Don't let it sit in your heart, because if you let it sit in your heart, the devil will turn your heart black. That's because she's 6 and that's what she understands. She doesn't want her heart to be black. She wants love. She wants all the fruits of the Spirit to be able to reside in her little heart. And that's you. You want joy. You want the joy, you want the joy, unspeakable joy to rest in your life. Not bitterness. You want the peace of God, right? To rest on you. Right? You want all of that, all of the fruits of the spirits to rest on you. Why do you want the fruit of the spirit to rest on you? Because you ain't angry and evil as I don't know what. That's why you want the fruit of the spirit to rest on you. You need it to rest in your marriage, right? Some of you guys in your marriages, you as far as the north is from the south. Y'all so divided, right? And all it takes is a good conversation. There are times, even in my marriage, I have to have those conversations, or my husband will come to me, and we have learned to woosah. Now, mind you, I'm a little 50-something years old, so I've kind of been around I've had some experience in this. But sitting down and saying, I feel like this when you do this. And being able to have those really important conversations keep your marriages together. And hearing each other out, hearing your mothers out, hearing your fathers out, hearing your pastors, your leaders, your coaches, whoever, your mentors. When people offend you, let them know that they offend you, right? So that you can bring that to a resolve and the enemy won't use it to keep you separated from God, separated from your purpose. We don't want to be, we want to walk in our God-given purpose. And the way the devil uses what he uses to distract us and keep us heart angry and frustrated and separated is the spirit of offense. So today I hope this helps somebody. Listen, you have a great day and thanks for listening.